Yeah, welcome to
Hmm.
the Aro Benaiah Show, where we highlight the builders, the dreamers, and doers shaping business and life with their hands and hearts. Today, I'm joined by Deborah Boa, a marketing and sales strategist with decades of experience in advertising, branding, and creative business growth. After raising 5 kids and restarting her career in her fields, Deborah's built Hexagon Media and launched deals with Hayes, a product empowering our female entrepreneurs. She's a powerful voice on mindset, sales, and the courage to start over. And today, she's here on the show to actually share her journey. It's a pleasure having you on the show, Deborah.
Thank you so much for having me. I am
Thank you.
excited to have our conversation and chat. And I have a surprise, something that's not in my bio, because I know you have a lot of audience for blue collar work. And before I started over and got back to my true passion and love, I ran my husband's construction company. For about 8 years, I was CEO. I'm very, very
Wow.
knowledgeable about roofing and construction methods and all of those things. I have a lot of tradespeople for advertising clients because I have a unique insight that most advertising people don't have. So hopefully I'll be able to relate back to some of those things and really connect with your audience.
Amazing. Amazing. Thanks for sharing that. So, Deborah, what was it like growing up for you?
Well, I grew up, so I'm Gen X. I will be 59 next month.
Oh,
And so the things you hear about America for Gen X generation are very true. I lived in a small town in Oklahoma in the heart of the United States, and they literally just kicked us outside. And my mom didn't like lock the door and not let us come back in. And really not very many of my friends were that way. But if you went back in, you couldn't come back out. And essentially you're locked out. So all of the things really that you see, even the funny videos on TikTok and all of that are really true. It was definitely a time where your parents were looking for you. They were in a car driving around because none of us had phones in our pockets, or they were calling friends' parents asking if you were there. And so my childhood, I was with a single mom. My father died when I was young.
wow.
And middle child and oldest daughter. So tell me you're independent without telling me you're independent. I very much grew up like that. And I was a great student and an athlete. So I excelled really in school. It was something that is great when it's happening, right? When you're nerdy, and that's great. But when you're a child, if you find all of your value through achievement, which is what I did, and lots of people my generation definitely did as well, then gosh, what are you going to do when you grow up and you're an adult? There's not a test every week. There's not a gold star for showing up every day. There's not a basketball game or
Yeah.
two right? So if that's how you get your value, then boy, you're in some surprises when you're an adult, when there's so much drudgery and you got to stand in line and so even those types of things, I think are a big change. And then, grew up, went to college at Oklahoma State University and really became kind of who I am in that time in life. I have lifelong friends, some friends that I went kindergarten through 12th grade. In high school, we just had our 40-year high school reunion. So I have friends from way back then. Really, you formed a lot of really tight associations when I was growing up because you had to get to know people well and in person, really. So I think there's a little bit of a difference in that for my generation. And then my kids, I raised 5 children. 2 are my biological kids, and they are all great human beings and great adults. They range in ages from my oldest will be 32 this month, and then the youngest is 24. And so I sacrificed a lot to raise them. And I don't think that's always necessary, but when you have that many, there's definitely going to be your needs, especially the mom, your needs just really get put on the back burner to make sure everybody else is happy. And I think that's true no matter what generation. It's kind of a mom thing, right? I don't think you have to say goodbye to your passions to do all of that, but that's what happened to me. I certainly wasn't meant to run a construction company or be involved in construction. And I did get to do marketing and sales during that time, but it wasn't something. I also had to do lots of paperwork and deal with insurance and all kinds of things. And I passed commercial roofing exams. I have a Hague engineering certification for wind damage. To do lots of things that weren't on the list of Deborah's passions, things that she's passionate about, but that were important and essential at the time for survival of my family and to take care of my family. So that's what we did. So then in 2020, I got a divorce and my 5 children had all left the nest. And I also took care of my mom. So, when our parents get older, it's important that we honor them. And my mom got diagnosed with lung cancer in 2017 and she moved in with me. And so in the midst of that, I took care of my mom also. And so she passed away in 2021, right? A few months after everything else fell apart, right? So there I sat, only one person left to take care of, and that's me. And I had no idea how to do it. I was really, really lost. And even if you're the one who decides, right? Some things are out of my control. You can't control whether my mom died. My kids are gonna grow up, right? I mean, they're gonna grow up and go off and live their lives and build their own lives. And no matter whether you choose it, and then I chose to be divorced. So all of that leaves an empty space. Even if you're the one doing it, you still remove something out and there's an empty space in there. And so now what are you going to fill that up with? So everything was gone out of my space that I would typically take care of other people and fill up with taking care of other people was completely gone. And it was a really terrifying place to be.
Wow.
That was 2020 was away. So I've come a long way since then. And I've had lots of bigs and lots of lows. But it has been quite a journey.
Wow. It's really quite very inspiring, being that you are worth more like different hats at various times, and it's the fact that you're able to kind of you're able to kind of pass through those particular parts without losing your energy, without losing your strength, without losing your focus. It's really amazing. Not everybody could actually get to do that, and it's really very very inspiring and amazing. So Deborah, your stories is starting your own business in your 50s is inspiring. What gave you the courage to actually begin again?
Well, I would like to say that I made decisions and I was brave and I chose I'm going to do this and this. But honestly, I was thrust there kind of with tragedy almost. But here I sat in my mid 50s and my ex-husband was a gambler. So I was starting over financially as well. And I was just really lost. I was skinny, really thin, and I was used to being an athlete and feeling strong. And I was coming home and picking up fast food and sitting on my bed and eating it until it's time to go sleep and do it all again. And I just didn't feel like myself. I was used to feeling strong. And I thought, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I know one thing for sure. I can't do any of it if I feel like this. I don't want to feel like this anymore. What do I need to do to not feel like this? And I'm not somebody that reaches out for help. I isolated myself away from friends. I was in a bad marriage. I knew I was, and I didn't want to talk about it. I think there's a little bit of prideness in that plus you're busy. I had so much going on that you naturally kind of isolate. And that's what I had done. So here I sat and I made some non-negotiable boundaries with myself and decided, one, I'm not going to eat fast food. I'm a great cook. I love to cook. I cooked for the very first time. I had to stand on a chair to reach the stove. So I've cooked my whole life and I enjoy it. So I have a house. I've got an open floor plan. So the next thing is I'm not going to eat in my bedroom. I'm going to be in my bedroom for 2 reasons. And if I'm sick, I'm on the couch, my friend. I am not spending time locked away in my sleeping quarters. And those two things made a big difference for me. It got me out, got me back cooking good food and focusing on my own health. And then the next thing was really I needed to build my strength back. Part of that was eating better. It didn't matter what I was cooking. It's better than fast food. I mean, it doesn't matter what you're cooking. If you're cooking real food, it's better than anything else. It could be the fattiest meat ever, but if you're cooking it yourself and you know what it is, then it's better than any fast food. So I was going to get back into exercising and I started kickboxing. And so I was an athlete, so I like vigorous exercise. And I also now do somatic yoga and lots of other things. But those things helping me feel strong again and more like myself, that I, the me that I'd known my whole life when I wasn't traumatized and frail. So those were the really big things, starting improving on myself and exploring. What am I going to do? I knew I wanted to do marketing and sales and advertising. That's always been my happy place. But what am I going to do? So I applied for some jobs to think, well, maybe I'll do this and ultimately I had a couple of consulting clients already because I always kind of did it on the side a little bit. So I had people that I had done work for and they wanted to hire me. And so I had a little bit to start. I had 2 clients to start and I started an agency. I just decided one day and I called my son, my biological son, who is a pure creative, right? And I called him and said, hey, I'm starting an advertising agency. What do you think I should name it? And the very first thing out of his mouth was, you should name it Hexagon. And that's what I named it. I just fit. And so I started Hexagon Media and got all my recertifications. I ran for a couple of decades, big marketing departments in corporate America. I can do all kinds of marketing, it still is kind of a process figuring out what I like the most, what I have the time to invest in. And it really felt good to help small businesses that can't afford to have serious marketing strategy help, to give them something where they could step in and have that availability. And that made me feel really good to be able to do that and help in that way. And so that's how I started my agency.
Wow, amazing. I think it's really, really inspiring, being that you're able to pick yourself up or make a decision. Making decision is one thing, taking action is another thing. Back up with those particular decisions. You're willing to take the actions and do the big work, which wasn't actually more like comes easy. You have worked in sales and marketing for decades. What is one timeless truth about sales that still holds today?
Sales on its basic level is a transfer of enthusiasm. That's all it is. So I believe in my product or service, doesn't matter what it is. I believe in it. I believe it can help in whatever way that it can help. And I sell that by transferring that enthusiasm to another person or another business. And that's all it is. There's a multitude, probably hundreds of different ways to do it. But if you can effectively do that to the masses, right? That's true in advertising as well. You see an ad, somebody's enthusiastic about something that they like, that they've used, or even just the car commercial driving down the road that makes you feel enthusiastic about seeing that car or excited about that. All of it to the masses, all the way basic down to a one-on-one level. We buy when we feel excited and enthusiastic about something. And that is timeless. It will never change. You have to be able to transfer that. So for AI to take those sales jobs, and there are a lot of frontline AI stuff happening right now for sales and incoming, inbound phone sales. They can learn that empathy. You can program those prompts to do that. But true connection and true building enthusiasm, boy, it's difficult to do that without a little humanity in it. And I think that's timeless forever. It is. If you can find a way to do that, then you're going to be successful always.
Wow, this is really more like an amazing perspective, because I've not gotten to see this definition before. I think the fact that just make it is transfer into sales, it simply means, let's say you are a creator of a particular product or a particular service. Your audience might not know what the service serves, but your energy will actually speak volumes. Should they trust you? Should you be the right person? Or will you be the authority to actually more like commit that particular solution? So you just make reference to the transfer of enthusiasm. They could actually sense it owing to when they interact with you, view your page, check a couple of things that you do. It's really an amazing way of actually more like seeing sales and with what you even doing with Hexagon, how you actually come with it, the origin stories, it just speak volumes. So you really eager to actually more like create something, and it's really inspiring and very amazing, I must say.
Thank you. And even, I mean, when you look at, I do sales psychology coaching too, where we look at one, your attitude, because let's face it, almost every system that's out there for sales and prospecting works. It's your attitude, your mindset about it that affects whether or not you're successful. But it's also, how does the person you're selling to prefer for you to communicate with them, right? So if they like facts and figures, then I got to use facts and figures to transfer my enthusiasm to them because that's what they like to see. If they like the bottom line, then I use that, right? I'm enthusiastic about the money saving. Maybe they like social proof, right? There's this whole new thing when you look at the buying personalities in sales, where used to you would have this group that were thinkers and they liked a lot of information. And so if they wanted a lot of testimonials and things, you put that in there. This worked for those people. But boy, social proof has kind of changed that. People will buy shit off TikTok from people they do not know.
Yeah.
Because it worked for them. And it has changed a little bit. So they like to see lots of people that it's worked for, and they make more emotional decisions. So now I can build enthusiasm for that, but it's still building enthusiasm for my products and services. It's simply tailoring the message to the audience that's looking or that you're attempting to sell to at that time, and using the right communication methods to best transfer that enthusiasm. Really does. It's a very simple definition, but boy, does it work in every aspect of it.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Thanks for actually sharing that, Deborah. So what is the top mistake you see entrepreneurs make when it comes to branding for their business?
I think that they focus too much on what their brand looks like visually, right? There's a lot of branding photographers and branding content and branding website developers. All of that goes into your brand, but your brand is much deeper than that. Your brand is, how do you talk to customers? How do you reach customers? What's your pricing category? Are you the low-cost provider? Are you always going to be cheaper than everybody else? Because if you are, then you're probably not going to be able to offer those Cadillac services because you have to make up all that money in volume. So thinking about things like that are part of your brand as well. And then it becomes very easy when you have all of that lined out about why. So if your brand is about service and about taking care of your customers and making sure they have everything, and you're offering top level services, and so you do that kind of work on your brand and focus on your customers, who you want to attract, what kind of a company you are. Just because you may choose to be the low-cost provider, and there's nothing wrong with that. They fill a very important space in our marketplace. They really do. But let's say you want this, your passion is this high level of service. Then when you get out there selling and you're getting beat up on price constantly, right? Because you're the Cadillac, you have all this service. You got salespeople, they're mad, they want to close deals, but they're attracting this wrong client. Boy, when you are tight on your brand about everything about who you are as a company and who your customers are, then you are going to walk away from this business that doesn't belong to you. That's somebody else's business. It's much easier to do that when you're tight on the deep aspects of your brand, not what it looks like, not what it looks like in photography, not what I can make it look like and what we can plan around it, but the deep things and the deep conversations. Now you don't compromise on it. Doesn't mean you can't offer a special to get people, but here's the thing. If that's your service, you don't need as many customers. So you can step over all these dimes and pick up dollars or euros or whatever it is. And you don't worry about that because you're not going to have as many customers. They're going to pay you more and you're going to spend lots more time with them. because of that. And that's the level of service. So I think people, when they're thinking about their brand, it's important to be really tight on all of the aspects of it, right? Where are you? Are you a brick and mortar location? Are you eventually going to have online stuff? How are you going to promote yourself? What are your beliefs? Really on a deep level. Yes, integrity and honesty and all of the big things, and they assign colors. And yes, I get all of that. Those things are important. But the real deep things about your brand that are you, what you're passionate about, what you're uncompromising about. Those are the things that when you waver from that later and you drop your price to take care of the guy because you think you need the business right then, it's always a problem. That
Wow.
guy's always a jerk. He always wants more because he's not your customer, right? So he sees this big service thing that you're doing and he wants it for this low price. And when you compromise, he doesn't get that, right? Because you don't have time for that, for the price that he gave them. It's always a problem. So I think people really make a mistake there when they're doing that. The other thing about your brand is when you're doing branding, marketing, you're doing content, or even advertising, it needs to do two things. It needs to build demand for your products and services and for you as the provider of choice of those. If it isn't doing those and you can't directly see how it's doing that, then don't do it. Don't post it. It's not for your people. So those things about your brand are important, right? It's really important that you get deep on that. Now you can figure out all your colors and get the website. You can clearly communicate to that branding professional that's going to make it look fantastic. And they're going to do even, because you can come in there and say, this is who my target is. These are how our prices work. We offer these services. We are not low-cost providers. So when you fill out all your search terms, you don't put all of the cheap search terms, because if you do, you're going to be blowing through a lot of churn for people that aren't your customers. Those aren't your people. They're somebody else's customers. Let them have them.
Wow, amazing. I think this is more like a pretty way of looking at businesses as an entrepreneurs and as trade people, because I think from what you just said, the deep work involve you more like, doing some couples of stuff to see what you're passionate about, to see what you actually want, the kind of customer you want. Before you actually even go towards branding. Imagine more like diving into branding, only to discover that at the end of the day, you don't like the business, you don't like the kind of customer you attract. And at the end of the day, it's as though you're actually more like inviting a whole lot of persons that, you don't even want to be partying with. So it really came more like doing the deep work to discover what you like, what kind of customer you like, and everything. Doing those couples of more like a background job before you actually kind of start making announcements. And even the announcement ought to be backed up with the demand. Once the demand is not there, at the end of the day, it might just be making noise and attention without no specific results leading out from it.
Well, and the other thing is that you can, right, when you're tight on that, now you come to somebody and you say, hey, I'm looking for this customer and where are those? You can really get tight on the best places for you to post your content and for you to advertise. And now you know. What kind of an agency do I need to hire? Do I need to hire social media, or am I business to business? So I need to stay away from social media. Am I going to do right? It helps you really get deep into how you're going to promote your business, and you'll be able to communicate that to the agencies and hire the ones that you're meant to hire so that you don't end up on Facebook when then you really shouldn't be there.
Yeah, so true. So many entrepreneurs struggle with our confidence, especially after setback. How did you rebuild your own confidence after major life challenges?
Man, day to day. It's day to day sometimes. Honestly, what I did is get back to basics. Make sure, for me, for example, here's a great example. When I started my podcast, which I started a year after I started my agency, I had a co-host, and she and I had met each other out promoting our businesses, out networking, and I'd seen her, but I hadn't had a one-to-one with her. We had a one-to-one, and we just clicked, right? She's like a soul sister. I love her. Like 3 months, I'd known her 3 months, and I asked her to start a podcast. I hadn't even thought about starting a podcast before. Well, after 2 seasons, she had to drop out. And I was faced with a decision of what am I going to do? We were in a full service studio because when there's two of you and you're side by side, look, that's 3 camera angles to edit. I can edit now, but you know what I'm saying? There's a whole nother level of, then you bring guests in, and we were at a studio. So am I going to be able to stay there? Can I afford to stay there and pay that bill? Does it make sense for me to do that? And so I had to build a lot of confidence before I felt comfortable being able to do what I did, which I put a studio in my house. I brought it fully in-house. I do it 100% by myself now. And I already did the content, which is the hardest thing. So for most people fail because of content.
Yeah.
So, but still bringing it in, I had to get really confident with editing. Am I going to be able to do it? Riverside, thank you for all of my blessings, God, because Riverside brought all of their AI stuff right at the beginning of the year. Perfect timing for me. And I had been, during 2020, I discovered my artistic ability, and I had been making my own advertising stills and content for social media, memes and funny stuff. I'd really been doing and found Adobe Express products worked really well. And I was able to eliminate this very frustrating part of my job of explaining to an artist what I wanted my vision for it to be and re-explaining it and explaining why my contact info needed to be on it. Frustrating things with not doing it yourself. And so I had eliminated that. And during this time when I'm trying to figure out how am I going to move forward, Adobe launched video editing. And I'm not going to edit my podcast on there, but what I was able to do was build my own video intro, and add our custom music that we already had. And so the video intro to my podcast, so on YouTube, or if you're on a platform that has it, you'll be able to see this whole intro, which is a lot of clips of me from the previous 2 seasons, which was admittingly weird to build it of myself. But I did it, and I think it looks really good. So things happened. I explored, I learned, I tried things. And once I had done that, and I had gotten in and done the whole Riverside tour and realized, okay, I have the skills, I can do it myself.
Yeah.
I think, and so once I had that kind of in my mind that, okay, I can do this. I have space to do it in my house. And then so I built it, right? I figured it out. I dug in and learned a little bit. But now to get me off, because there's people, we all get in that where I'm going to learn this and then I'm going to learn this. And I didn't take any Riverside classes or do tutorials or go get a coach to teach me. No, I figured it out and thought, okay, I did it. I can do that. I can do this. I can do this. I've got all of the steps in place. So then what I did was, I'm launching my first episode on this day. Episode 50 was the first one with me as solo host.
Wow.
I was already on a booking platform. And so now for me, it's mindset. That's challenge mindset. I gave myself a deadline and a challenge, and I backed it up. I've got to be in the studio by this day so that I can record and have time to edit, so I can be this much ahead, so that I have my episode number 50, which was just me by myself, which was weird, but kind of weird. I haven't done that since, and I've always had a guest since then, but that is how I step by step kind of made that happen. And I talk a little bit more in depth in that in episode 50 of my podcast. I'm uncharacteristically vulnerable in it. I cry a little bit talking about how scary it was to move forward without my friend and, to figure it all out. But that's what I did. I went step by step. What do I really need to know to do it by myself? I need to be able to figure out how to edit it. And I was going to just put us side by side the whole time and not worry about any of it. And Riverside came out with a ton of AI functions that help you edit and take out breaths.
Yeah.
It's like God just blessed me and showed me the way, right?
Wow.
Here it is in front of you. Align with it and make it happen. And since then, I have recorded 90, I think, episodes.
Whoa.
So I've recorded this week, episode 87 premiered. So I took a whole month off And so I'm catching back up again, so I'll be further ahead. So I've recorded 41 episodes in my home studio, more
Wow,
than I
amazing.
did. Yeah, it's been a really big thing. For the first time, I had no break between seasons. I just kept on, and I have, I think, crossed a threshold on guests. I'm booked out. I had to make all my booking pages invisible because I'm booked out till March, April, I think, of next year. So
Woo!
really just, right? I'm so grateful and so blessed. But just really, it's important that when I do mindset coaching too, I worked hard to change my mindset and heal my triggers so I wasn't walking around set every little thing, making me mad and distracting me from my own purpose. And that was one of the things for me was I had to see myself that I could actually do the different steps, proved myself that I could. And then once that was done, wow, now are you going to do it? And for
Wow,
me,
amazing.
setting the deadline and using challenge mindset's really important. For me personally, I think because I was an athlete and, I got my value from achievement. So you have to take action. When you're manifesting something, people think about it, well, I prayed, and I didn't get it. Well, that's not enough. That's not enough. You pray or manifest or visualize or whatever it is for you. Doesn't matter. It honestly doesn't matter. I know everybody's like, no, he is the best. Our God is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're praying to, how you're doing it, doesn't matter. You have to take action that goes with it, aligned action towards that goal. And also for me, for everyone, and you'll know when I say this, your vessel, your body, your emotional mind, all of that has to be ready to hold those big blessings, right? What if you got to be prepared to hold it? It could be a lot of emotion. It can be a lot. And if we see people all the time who receive their big blessings before they're ready, don't we? They get hooked on drugs, they blow all their money, they get taken advantage of, all the things because they weren't really prepared. So for me, taking those steps to be physically healthy, I'm not saying you got to give up sugar or quit eating fast, be so extreme, but you have to make decisions that shows God in the universe that you are making healthy choices for yourself. You're building your vessel and preparing it too. So taking action, building confidence so that you're confident, but then take action towards that specific goal,
Yeah,
right?
amazing, amazing. I think this is really very, very key, I think, from what you just said. Because sometimes it is not attained without actions. It's action that actually builds confidence, especially more like consistent actions over time. Loads of confidence that now you can now make reference of the fact that you trust your ability to do a particular stuff. And yes, you keep showing up, you keep actually more like doing what you need to do. Yeah, it's really amazing way of actually more like looking at things from this particular end, being that yeah, you're confident, you're showing up, you're actually more like doing the work you need to do. Yeah, it's really, 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 really key. Just showing up and doing the things you need to do. It's more confident, and there's a whole lot of this that can be done. And also I actually even have this particular quote that says, let it first begin and later it can get better. Let it begin, it can get better. So if there's anything I'm learning part time and I'm not confident on it yet, or I'm not good at it, I just have this buffer that just make reference. Okay, let it first exist, then it can get better. So if every entrepreneur could actually more like look at their confidence level from that particular end, starting out will not be a difficult thing because just starting out, arranging plan, making to-do list without taking action is doesn't count much compared to taking actions. And from your words, it just speaks volumes to this. So you actually created more like a free ebook on 5 steps to having a successful mindset. Could you walk us through one or two of those key steps?
Well, I went through a few of those just naturally through our conversation. The first one is physical, start making healthy decisions. And small ones are fine. Maybe I'm going to take a walk today and I'm going to do it again tomorrow. And maybe you can't say I'm going to do it for 5 days yet. But then once you've done it 5 days, now I'm going to do it for 5 days more and make those small steps that shows God that you are aligning to who you are, the part of you that's already met those goals. So you really are taking those steps. It's really important to do that. And the really changing your messaging, right? How you talk to yourself during those steps, building that part of your vessel as well. The other one, really trusting and believing in yourself. That's part of it. I still struggle sometimes with imposter syndrome. And I think part of it is when it's just your life and it's the things that you've learned and the things that they don't feel special because it's just you, right? It's just your life. It's what you've lived. And so it doesn't, once you've said it so many times, you forget how important of a message it is. And so it's easy to lose that value proposition. So changing and having that mindset, stepping back into it, grounding yourself so that you understand that you're here for something specific and it is important. Whether it's interviewing people on a podcast, maybe you're going to interview somebody and what they say is going to change someone's life. You don't know what that is. So trust that what you're doing is important. Believe in yourself, visualize it in the future. See myself once I've already done it. What would Debra 2.0 do? Not the Debra that I'm in today, where I'm not sure, but thinking about the Debra that's already done it, already achieved it. She's already finished with it. What would she do? What choices did she make? How does she feel? And then align with that feeling. It's really important. One of the biggest things is really trusting and embodying it and believing in that you deserve it. I do deserve it. I am already received it. So the fact that you can think of it means that it's meant for you. If you don't think of it, right? The fact that you think of it means that it's meant for you. So now the version of you. So imagining that and trusting yourself and then taking that action that aligns with it. If you can do those things, then you are taking those steps to get to and aligning with what your desires are because you've already done them.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Deborah, for analyzing this step again. It's really, really lovely. I think it's very, very encouraging when you make reference of trust from the perspective of yeah, definitely just keep doing it. Owing to definitely you're helping someone who you might not know yet, who from that particular podcast of yours, from you just showing up, from you just doing your business, from you showing up with your business, yeah, helping people actually more like reshape a whole lot of things. Even as an entrepreneur, from you make reference of what you do to the general audience, not just keeping it to one or two clients you do. You are helping a whole lot of persons to actually more like get better deal, get better persons to do their jobs, other than then getting the random persons that are just available who show up going to you didn't show up to tell your stories. It's really, really amazing looking from that particular line. So after years in traditional media, how do you view the roles of digital marketing and social media today?
Boy, social media, I really have I can't even say a love-hate relationship with. I just honestly don't care for it for several different reasons. But the main one is it is designed to mess with your dopamine system, right? That's why people get hooked on it so much. And a business, listen, I do a lot of sales coaching and sales training. And when I start working with a small business, sales is so far back on their back burner. We have to dig deep to find it. They want to sell. They don't want anybody to know that they're selling. And so it's can be a real challenge to get them to even focus on the things that they need to do in order to sell. I kind of lost my train of thought again. I really love working and helping them figure out, why something isn't working. So I may only sell advertising to someone that drives stuff to their funnel, right? But if all I'm focusing on is how many clicks I'm getting, those are real vanity kind of metrics, right? So that dopamine cycle is really going, people clicking. Look how many clicks look how many likes I got. Look how many people shared my video. I mean, we all do it. It is designed to give us that dopamine hit. And when you don't have it, there's the subsequent crash that comes after it. And so all of social media is really designed for that. And to make money off of that, boy, you got to have millions and millions of views on all platforms. And so there's a lot of content creators that make content that are designed for those what
Yeah.
I and most marketing industry calls vanity metrics. So they look really good on paper, but they don't show any difference in revenue and sales. They're vanity. They feel really good. And social media is really focused on that. And when I'm dealing with a business owner who's got sales so far back and all they've been focusing on is social media in their business and they've got all these likes and vanity metrics, I'm like, you're not focused on the things that a small business needs to focus on, which likely isn't on. It could be in small business if you're in a tradesperson. Social media is a great place to be, right? But you can't get focused on how many likes you get and how many followers you have and if you're maxed out, because it doesn't matter what most of them are. What matters are the ones that you need. Are they seeing it and are they getting the right message? So for me, social media really focuses on that. And unless you're going to be, this is the best phone I've ever had. And you're going to be, I mean, I can't get them to even focus on selling at all. And they're focused on the type of content and advertising that the only way to make money off of it is to eventually be so hard in your face sales. This is such a great phone. You guys need to try it. No, right? So I think it's important. I don't know what the future of social media is. You'll notice they just keep making new ones when we get sick of the old ones and then they become the new ones. I think it's important to be there for a lot of businesses. I think it's important to be on the right one, and that when the target that you came up with on the customers that you want, it's really important that you can see a clear way that they are on your platform that you're posting content on.
Yeah.
It's important that you have some strategy around it. Otherwise, and hey, there's lots of new AI stuff to help you figure out strategy on each of those platforms. And then you hire content people that can help you really put that together. But be careful about what you're gauging to measure results. It's measured by how it increased your revenue. How in the long term is it going to increase it? And not focusing on the vanity things. Boy, it's hard not to, because even I know what the facts are, and I still am like, look how many likes I got on this video. It's so hard not to. So hard not to.
Yeah, thank you so much, Debra. It really be an amazing moment having this conversation. So how can our audience learn more about you? How can they reach out to you? How can they connect with you? And how can they do business with you?
Well, thank you for asking. You can always find out more information on my podcast website, which is dealswithheels.com. It's available on all platforms and YouTube. I'm approaching my 100th episode. It's really exciting for that, right? It's a big thing. I'm sure Aro knows what I'm talking about. The 100th episode is like this kind of a level that you're getting at. So that's a really big deal. I would love for everyone to check it out. I am on almost all of the social media, but honestly, if you really want to get in touch with me, you should connect with me on LinkedIn. That's the best place. I spend more of my time on Instagram, but that's a whole nother thing. I just like to look at the stuff on there. That's where my dopamine hit is, on Instagram, and I'm weaning myself off of it. Those places, and then my advertising agency is hexagonmedia.net, but they all link together. If you find me on one place, you'll be able to find me on all of those.
Wow, amazing. Definitely it's going to be on the show notes. My audience can easily just access it and reach out. So finally, Deborah, if someone is listening now and feel like it's too late to start over, what message will you leave them with?
I would say it is never, never too late to start over. I started over here, look, in my 50s, right? And I feel like, look how many things I've kind of had to start over a couple times on different things since then. Started over as solo host. It's when you're older, you have so much more experience and wisdom. You've already made a ton of mistakes and learned from them. You have all of the tools to do it. But even my mom got diagnosed with stage 3B lung cancer when she was 79, and she was only supposed to live maybe a year, and she lived 5. But I will tell you, in many ways, she started aspects of her life over then. And in much of those ways, she was happier after she got sick than she was before, because it was this new part of her life that she embraced. plus I'm fun to live with, guys. So that,
Yeah.
I mean, so much entertainment from that perspective. I didn't have my podcast then or anything like that. So I'm sure I drove her crazy. But I think that it's not really starting over, it's phases. It's how you picture it and how your mindset is. So
Amazing.
whether the saying is true, whether you think you can or you think you can't. You're right. So choose
Thanks.
wisely. Choose
Yeah.
wisely. It's up to you. If you think you can do it, you want to do it, you picture yourself doing it in your mind, shoot. Just start. Just start. Baby steps, small steps if that's all you can take at the beginning. I am more of a crawl, skip, jump off the cliff. I've a good friend. He's definitely crawl, stand, walk, run. And so find whichever one that suits you best. If you can think it and imagine yourself doing it, then you're meant to do it.
Yeah.
So don't let anything stand in your way.
Yeah, thank you so much, Debra. It's really, really lovely. Thanks for the advice, and it's really key. I just remember how you define sales again. Sales is a transfer of enthusiasm, and I want everybody to actually more like live with that. So, Deborah, thank you for sharing your stories and wisdom with such honesty and heart. Your journey improved that reinvention has no age limit, and that mindset truly drives success. To connect with Deborah or download her free ebook, 5 Steps to Having a Successful Mindset Shift. Successful Mindset at Hexagon Media net/free ebook up in. And to everyone listening, remember, every new chapter begins with the decisions to turn the page. I'm Aro Benaiah, and this is the Aro Benaiah Show. It's a pleasure once again having you, Debra, on the show.
Thank you for having me.